Hello there. This is a short video to show you some tips and shortcuts that you can use to make your workflow faster. So here's a simple polygon sphere. If the handles are too large or too small, you can simply hold the shift key and hit the plus sign. It'll make the handles larger. Hitting the minus key will make the handles smaller. Okay, so that's one. To move an object, you can drag on an arrow, or you can hold down the shift, middle mouse click, and gesture in the direction you want to go, and Maya will automatically move the object for you without you having to drag the arrows. Okay. If you have things like cameras or lights, so let me create a spotlight real quick, and you want to see the spotlight's handle, press T on the keyboard, and now you have a separate handle from which you can point the light. Okay, goes for the same with cameras. Sometimes when you're modeling, especially when they're really huge objects, your camera gets clipped. I'm not sure if I can make my camera clip, but your camera sometimes gets clipped, so you can't see anything. What you need to do then is to go to View, select Camera, and go to the Attribute Editor and change the clip plane to 1. Default is 0.1, something like that. If you change the clip plane to 1, it should be fine. Okay. Another thing is we've already discussed the alignment tools when we worked with the house puzzle, but there's another one called Snap Together tool. So if I create a box here, I'm going to move it over here. Make another one. So I have two boxes. If I want them to snap together, I can make sure nothing is selected, go to Modify, Snap Together tool, open the options. It says to move and rotate object. I want them to snap to polygon face. So if I click on that to choose the option, when I click on the face and hit enter, it'll automatically snap to that face. All right. To look from different cameras' point of view, you can also go to the outliner. So instead of going to here or using the view cube, you can go to the outliner, select the camera you would like to look at, middle mouse click and drag it to the scene, and the camera automatically switch to that point of view that you want. You can do the same thing with the light view. With lights, so let me create a light and go back to perspective view. Let me create a light. Move the light over here. So if I want to look at it from the light's point of view, if I drag the light over here, I'm looking at it through the light's point of view. This is pretty useful if you're trying to work pretty fast without having to switch. Look through selected. You can simply drag the objects from the outliner, right? Another thing I want to show you is in terms of selection. So let me delete the light. Actually, I'm going to delete all of these, and I'm going to simply make a cylinder with some multiple segments. All right. So if I want to select some edges, if I click on one edge and I move the right arrow key, you notice that it surrounds all the edges. It selects all the edges around it. And if I keep hitting the right arrow key, it'll keep going up to select more and more edges. If I hit the left arrow key, it'll select the edges below. All right, so if I select this edge, the right arrow key will select the edges going this way, and the left arrow key selects the object that way. If you want to select a series of edges, you can click on one and double click on the second one. It'll select the edges between the two edges, or simply double click on one edge and it'll select all the edges around it. All right. There's a mode called soft selection, so let me make a plane to show you how that works. Let me make it a little larger. So soft selection allows you to select a group of vertices together, so when your vertices are deformed, it forms more of a gentle slope. Let me show you. So if I don't have soft selection and I want to move this series of vertex, When I drag it up, it's going to look like that. All right. So to turn soft selection on, you can double click on this tool and the soft selection is right there. Or you can hit B on the keyboard and you can also toggle it on and off. So this is on and this is off by hitting B. If you don't see the shaded colors, it simply means that your brush is too big. So holding down the B key, left click, drag, you can change the size of the fall off or the influence of the soft selection. So let's say I do it right there. And I'm going to grab these vertices and move them. Notice that now they're a lot more smooth when they move instead of being jagged. So soft selection creates influence around the vertices that will get it deform a lot smoother than if you had no soft selection turned on. All right. In the soft selection mode, there's also two modes. The volume is like a huge sphere of fall off. So imagine there's a ball here and you're pulling the ball and the ball is deforming a blanket on top. If you choose the surface mode, it gives it it's a lot better deformation. It's not quite as rounded as a ball, and it's great to use for facial deformations when you model facial features on a character. Okay. All right, so that's your soft selection, and again, to turn it on off is the letter B key, and to change the size of the brush, hold down B and left mouse click and drag, and you can change the amount of influence your soft selection has on the object. Okay, and finally, in terms of grouping, so let me get a bunch of objects in here. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. So let's say these are the 4 objects that I want to group together. I can grab all of them and go to Edit Group. And here's my group. And if I open the outliner, you notice that there's a group form, and within the group's hierarchy, you have the sphere, the cube, the cylinder, and the cone. To select groups quickly without having to go to the outliner, select one of the objects that you know is in the group, hit the up arrow key, and it'll grab all the other objects that's contained in the group. All right, so if I select this one, up arrow key grabs all of the groups. Make sure you name the groups so you know what they're for. But that's a quick way of selecting groups without having to open outliner, especially if you have a lot of groups in your scene. You have to open outliner and get to the groups. So you simply got to select one object. If they're grouped, hit the up arrow key and you can select the rest of them. All right, so that's the end of the tips for today. Thank you.